Mothman himself made a Thanos-like decision, killing those 46 people on the bridge to save the town of Point Pleasant.
Oh.
For the greater good, that's what Mothman was thinking.
He hit him with a...
Wasting space-time.
Wasting space-time.
Wasting space-time?
Wasting space-time.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, guys. Hey.
Hi, James.
How are you guys doing this evening?
Pretty good.
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
I'm chilling.
Good?
I had a nice day off, but tomorrow's gonna suck.
Oh.
Gotta drive a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got like a 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
Congratulations on your certification.
Well, I don't know if I passed yet. I just have taken a test, so we're gonna see next week if I pass.
Well, I have a strong suspicion that you did.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, let's go.
Yeah, I tried. Studied really hard. Trying to get a raise at work.
Do you guys want to say what you do, or?
Yeah, so I work as a construction technician, so I go out to construction sites and do testing for different materials.
All right.
Yeah, not that interesting.
No, I do construction too.
Oh, nice.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I do like stone
dope.
and brick masonry.
Oh, yeah.
that's badass.
I have to inspect those at my job. I gotta inspect the masons.
So are you like with a company, or like who do you inspect for?
Yeah, so I work for
A great company.
and different like contractors, not necessarily contractors, but like mostly engineers and like architects will hire my company to do like testing, like concrete testing, the masonry, so we'll test the grout and all that stuff and just like make sure that everything's being built to spec. That's basically my job.
All right. What
Yeah.
do you do, Deon?
Oh, get ready for this one. I am an assembly worker at a factory that cannot be named because I could get
Yeah,
fired
that's
for
fine.
talking about them.
That's fine.
Woo.
Yeah, I worked at UPS for a while, and I imagine it was kind of a similar environment, but I'm not sure.
I mean, you didn't work at Amazon, so that's good.
Yeah.
I've heard nothing but bad things
Yeah.
about working at Amazon. I've never heard one good thing about working at Amazon.
My brother's friend actually worked at Amazon, and he said that he barely got any breaks. Like, he was just on his feet the whole time. But he got paid really good money, so that's why he did it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like the only thing. It's just crazy. Like, maybe like you're making good money, but then you hear the stories about like people like pissing in bottles because they like don't have like 5 seconds to use the restroom.
Yeah.
It's just insane. That
That's awful.
Yeah, he almost got my brother to work for Amazon, but then my brother was like, nah, I'm good. He dodged that bullet.
Well, I'll just jump into it. Point Pleasant, West Virginia, November 1966. A man digging his brother-in-law's grave was the first to see the flying man. 3 days later, 4 more people also witnessed the bird. Over the next year, strange events continued to plague the small town of Point Pleasant, ending in the collapse of their beloved Silver Bridge, killing 46 people. Men in Black, the smiling man from the flying cigar, a missing dog. What happened? Mothman is described as a 6 or 7 foot tall humanoid monster with gray or brown coloring, texture varying among accounts, wings, and bright red reflective eyes. It is reported the creature has a wingspan of 10 to 15 feet. He's supposedly able to fly at over 100 miles per hour and is often taken to be a warning of imminent disaster. A bad omen. So what do you guys know about the Mothman going into this?
So
Yeah, I'll let you go first. Go ahead.
I've watched, obviously, I love BuzzFeed Unsolved, like the supernatural, so I watched their Mothman on that. And then we've also been to Point Pleasant and gone to the Mothman Museum and gone to like the bunker area where he's been sighted.
That's so cool. I'm so jealous of that.
And we took a picture with his ass.
Yeah. And then I've heard like a couple podcasts. I like listening to the supernatural podcast, so a lot of cryptids I hear
All
about.
right.
So I know
Cool.
a little bit about Mothman.
I'm actually not sure when the first time I heard about him was. I remember I got the Mothman Prophecies book from my great uncle that I work with at the job I work at
Nice.
now. But
Nice.
I've had it forever. But I don't know. Mothman's just one of like the iconic like cryptids to me. Like I
He
don't know.
is, yeah, I feel
it
like-
kind of it seemed like it should be the first to me. It's a highly respected monster.
I
Yeah.
found out about him. I was on a vacation with my family. We used to regularly take a vacation to this place in like Southern Ohio. And my parents brought up one time, they were like, "Yo, have you heard of Mothman?" And I was like, "No." And they were like, "Yeah, in West Virginia, there's a Mothman. We could go to the museum if you want. It's not that far of a drive." I'm like, "Okay." So we went there, and yeah, that's where I found out about everything. And I've been there like 4 times. I've been to Point Pleasant like 4 times. It's really cool. It's
It
a
is,
really
yeah.
cool little adventure. I like it.
What was it like there?
Oh, it was really cool. There's a lot of like, it's a lot of Mothman, and you can walk across the river, which is really cool. But we didn't see the Silver Bridge, which I was gonna bring up. My mom actually is the reason I know about Mothman, is because every time we go across a bridge over the Ohio River, she would like freak out and be like, "Keep your eyes out for Mothman," because she'd talk about
Oh,
the
no.
Silver Bridge. She's like terrified of a bridge collapsing. So like she's terrified of Mothman.
It's beautiful there though. Like
It
if you
is.
when you like go to the river at Point Pleasant, like it's literally like right across the street from the Mothman Museum. They have a mural of like I don't know if it's of Point Pleasant or of like West Virginia, but it starts in like way back in the day, and the mural starts there and like goes up to modern time, and each painting is like forward in time, but it shows like the whole timeline of the area.
That sounds really
It's
cool.
it's really beautiful. It's cool.
Yeah, and then you got Mothman, and he has a nice cake on him.
Oh yeah, and the
Who-
Mothman statue,
Who
obviously.
I'm so
knows
jealous.
why they gave? Yeah, why he gave him that cake? I have no idea, but they gave Mothman a nice cake.
And there's a good coffee shop there too as well. I can't remember what it's called though.
And the museum is really cool. It has like all the sightings and like the newspaper articles from the sightings, and then it has like how Mothman impacted modern day like media with all his movies, like TV shows and like the books and different stuff like that. It was really cool to see.
I've heard that, like, well, obviously, like, people go to visit because of Mothman, and it sounds like everyone there is, like, happy with the visitors it brings. Was the vibe kind of, like, Mothman stuff everywhere, or was it, like, a few spots to stop at while we were there?
It was like they embraced Mothman. Like
It
was
saved the whole town.
Mothman.
Like if Mothman didn't happen, that town probably would have either just kind of died out, or because like the only thing there was like the TNT factory.
Yeah.
And now that that's gone, like if the Mothman thing wasn't a thing, nobody would go there probably.
I have a
Yeah.
new theory. Maybe the Mothman himself made a Thanos-like decision, killing those 46 people on the bridge to save the town of Point Pleasant.
Oh.
For the greater good, that's what Mothman was thinking.
He hit him with a.
He said there could be profit here.
He wasn't wrong. I mean, it's basically all that town is. People go there for Mothman.
It's a cute little town.
Is
When we
it,
went, the coffee shop was closed, which was sad because the coffee shop looks really cool. They have like Mothman treats and then Mothman drink.
Mothman drink? Yum. What does
Yeah.
it taste like? Mothman?
I don't know. It was closed. We didn't get to try it. I was sad.
And the one time I went there and it was open, I don't know if I had the Mothman thing. I had like a raspberry latte or something weird.
You missed out.
I've been to
My
West
bad.
Virginia. I haven't been to Point Pleasant, but I feel like West Virginia kind of has its own vibe, and the woodiness
Yeah.
and kind of like secludedness.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if you've heard like the things about the Appalachian forest, like the mountains and stuff, like all the creatures that are supposedly found in there. That's really interesting.
Right. I've heard of like about like areas of I think it was from this book even, the Mothman Prophecies. John Keel was talking about how like Native American tribes had moved into every area surrounding it, but they left West Virginia alone. And then
Yeah.
Interesting.
there's that, we can talk about it later, but that the theory of the like blood curse. Are you familiar
I
with that?
haven't heard of that. No.
Okay. Well, talk about it later. I put this
Okay.
bit in here for you. I enjoy Marvel like I feel most folks might, but I'll accommodate to your DC needs. Are you aware?
I do love DC.
I'm just kidding. I will say though that I haven't seen the past few DC like projects, and I feel like I should. I've heard nothing but good things about them.
They've been doing really good so far. Peacemaker, the show was really good, and the Suicide Squad, that was a really good movie. I was really happy to see that.
Okay, Peacemaker and Suicide Squad were not just good; they were fantastic.
They
They were
were.
amazing. Peacemaker is a masterpiece.
It was really good.
John Cena, beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Well, I can read this next part. DC Comics connection. Through the descriptions of the entity bring to mind a bat-like man, they don't name it the obvious, as the Batman TV series was already a popular show at the time of the sightings, though Killer Moth, an evil counterpart to Batman in the comics, is likely to have helped inspire the name. So that's funny, because I never really put that together.
Right.
Like, that Killer Moth was Mothman.
That always cracked me up. That they describe it's like a gray man. It's bigger than a human with gray, skinny wings. It looks like a bat.
I know.
We'll call him the Mothman.
I think it's funny that they called him the Mothman, because it definitely doesn't strike terror into you. Like,
I don't know. I think in its
I
own
don't
way,
know.
yeah. Like, well, the Mothman. I don't know. Like, kind of, I've fallen in love with like the meme of the Mothman. Like, you see like little chibi
Yeah.
like Mothmen, and it's so cute. And like the butt of the statue. Like, we have these own kind of like ideas applied to Mothman now instead of just the story. And I like a lot of that stuff a lot. But
yeah.
I
I
don't
feel
remember
like if
where I
you
was going
didn't
with
know
that.
his backstory, he wouldn't strike fear into you. Like, hearing Mothman, not knowing his backstory, you'd be like, "Psh, that guy is probably weak."
What is he, attracted to lamps?
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, that was a good one. Wasn't expecting that one. He got me good.
Picture a body of a man, mind of a moth.
Yeah. Also, like, I don't know if you've heard, like, what he supposedly sounds like, but that just cracks me up, too. Like, they say, yeah. Like, it's some high-pitched, like, record scratching or something like that.
Right. And no, I think it was one of
sure
like
to strike fear.
I think it was one of the like the four people in the car that we'll get to in a second. But they described the sound as like a large like mouse or like a high pitched mouse noise, and that's just like I don't know. It's just kind of funny contrasting the stark black massive flying man like.
Yeah, like, it's just making that noise while it's trying to, like, chase you.
Yeah. I'll I have a sound I'm going to edit in later that I think is, I don't know. You saw it in the document, but we'll get to that. Okay, so here I am editing in that audio clip I mentioned, but first I would like to issue a warning. Not only a warning, but an apology to both headphones and speaker users. But I wanted to include this because it's kind of what I picture Mothman sounding like anyway. Allow me to paint the scene. I think it helps, actually. You and a couple friends, you're cruising through the woods at night. It's an abandoned military storage area. All the materials are long gone, but the threat of war remains. And what else remains? Do you hear that? Oh my gosh, what is that? You and your friends look at each other in disbelief. What the freaking heck? You say. But the beast continues to scream. Right, okay, again, apologies, but that was a barn owl. You can just kind of picture how scary the situation would be even with something as tame as an owl. I just wanted to include that. This is the first real sighting of Mothman. What I'm about to read is taken from an article printed on Friday, November 18th, 1966, titled 8 People Say They Saw a Creature. 8 people say they saw a flying creature near the Ohio River community, and a dog could have fallen victim to it. And now a Kanawha County gravedigger says a brown man flew past him last weekend. Kenneth Duncan of Blue Creek near Charleston said he and some other men were digging his brother-in-law's grave on Saturday when something that looked like a brown human being buzzed past. Can you imagine that?
That would be wild. It's like Mothman, so I just imagine like some furry dressed up as a moth just like buzzing past.
Flapping his wings.
It was gliding through the trees and was in sight for about a minute, Duncan said. 4 other men helping to dig the grave didn't see it. In a different newspaper article I saw, Ken says that it was gone before the others had time to notice it. So, sure, but we'll see. The thing described as a huge bird-like creature, with eyes like red reflectors and a wingspan of 10 feet, first was reported to police by Steve Millett and Roger Scarberry and their wives, which is the next story we'll read, who say they saw it 3 times last Tuesday and early Wednesday about 5 miles north of here. 4 other persons also told Mason County Sheriff George Johnson they saw it in the same general area. And a contractor, Newell Partridge, who lives 100 miles to the north, says he feels it may have had something to do with the disappearance of his $350 German Shepherd dog Bandit.
Yeah.
That's cheap for a German Shepherd.
That
I feel
is
like.
low.
I don't know why they put that in there.
Well, I guess it
Maybe.
was. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is still really funny.
Partridge
That's
said he
sad,
sighted the thing in a meadow near his home in Doddridge County about 50 minutes before the Point Pleasant sightings. Partridge says the television set began acting like a generator and Bandit started carrying on something terrible. Partridge said he shined a flashlight into the field and saw something with eyes like red reflectors. The dog's hair stood straight up, he said, and the animal went into the field. The dog never returned. Partridge said there was no trace of it in the morning. And that dog, I don't think I put it in this paper, but I'll mention it. And I also have a point in the book that I'd like to look at real quick.
Oh, he has it ready. I want to read that book. Is it interesting?
Yeah, okay. Well, before I get into the book, let's just talk about the book as itself for a second and John Keel.
Yes.
Because
I'm interested.
the book is fun. It's fun to read, and it's fun to, be taken on the journey, but it's also kind of, depressing that it's where, the whole Mothman story really came out of, and John Keel is, he acknowledges that he dramatizes things, and his writing style is kind of just conversational, him and different people that were integral to the story talking, and you just got to take him for his word that actually happened. He kind of put together the idea that the Mothman was a warning for the bridge disaster, Like that like came out of this book pretty much. And just like, I don't know, to me, this is like where most of the story comes from. This is like the source. And it's just kind of sad that like the sources doesn't seem as reliable as I'd like it to be. Like you kind of, I don't know what all happened in this book. I don't know what conversations he really had. I don't know what like little things he made up. That's kind of his writing style though. And like, I don't know. It's just, it's a good story.
Yeah, I think I remember they had like a good section in the museum to him, if I'm remembering correctly.
I could see that.
Because, yeah, like you said, he was a big part of starting the Mothman craze, I should say.
In this book, he talks about showing up in Point Pleasant, and it's just funny, the image he paints of himself. It sounds like a Fiverr Men in Black investigator that, like, shows up with a briefcase at like the scenes of like mysterious events, but he's like a writer and like knocks on your door and is like, "Hey, can I talk to you for a minute?"
So he was really trying to be like the Men in Black, like.
Yeah, he was.
He was really like.
He talked about how I don't remember the exact crane. It was some kind of name of a crane that a lot of people. Oh, I've got it right here.
Oh. Yeah, it's the Sandhill Crane.
Yeah,
I put it in there because I remember them talking about it because it is gray and it's has a really big wingspan. I can't remember the wingspan, and also where its eyes are, it's actually red. So it's like gray and then has these big red dots like right where its eyes are. So that's a theory that the Mothman, they could have saw a Sandhill Crane.
In this book, he mentions that he carried a picture of a Sandhill Crane in his briefcase to like show to people and be like,
No, he didn't.
"Is this what you saw?" And it was like a picture of a bird. And he said they all said no.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's like, I need to look into it, but I'm not sure if a Sandhill Crane, like if they're seen in that area all that often or if it would be rare to see them, because I'm not like a bird expert. I wish I was. I wish I was a birder. I think those people are so cool. But I don't know their like range if they go like it out in Point Pleasant, if they're seen there often or not.
Just the descriptions don't really match a crane to me. I have talk about later. I kind of think they're seeing owls maybe, but the description of like huge round eyes spaced like that, just like a glare and not really having a head or face to speak of, like all of that sounds like reminiscent of an owl, where a crane would have a super long neck and like a big pointy thing come out of its face. And its eyes are kind of like more on the side. It wouldn't look like circles unless it was like
you wouldn't see both of them at the same time.
Right.
I feel like. And also, like you were saying, the Sandhill Crane, like the eyes aren't actually red. It's just like they have red coloring around their eyes. So at night, if the beam is going out there, you wouldn't be seeing that red necessarily because it's more of the reflectiveness of the eyes. So yeah, now it would make more sense.
I'll save it. Save it for the owl section later. Okay. Yeah, this is the new partridge encounter that I mentioned. The guy that had the dog go missing, and his television set began acting like a generator, which I didn't really know what that means. So I was gonna elaborate a little bit from the book.
So could he, like, power stuff from his TV? Like, yeah, I'm very confused by this generator of a TV.
You know, it was one moment it was displaying an image, the next moment it was producing power.
But, like, so I'm just so confused by what power. Like, did he try to power, like, different electronics from his TV? Like, how did he know it was producing power?
I'm kind of just picturing like sparks flying, like a static image, like it's like pulsing or something with power. I don't really know. I think that's kind of the image it's supposed to convey. But here's what else he says. This is just the whole encounter. On the evening of November 14th, 1966, Bandit, a big, muscular German Shepherd, had dashed into the darkness and vanished. It was about 10:30 that night, and suddenly the TV blanked out, Partridge said. A real fine herringbone pattern appeared on the tube, and at the same time the set started, a loud whirring noise, winding up to a high pitch, was peaking and breaking off. As if you were on a musical scale and you went as high as you could, came back down, and repeated it. It sounded like a generator winding up. It reminded me of hand-field generators that one might use for portable radio transmission in an emergency. So that's
interesting. All right,
I don't know what a
elaborated a
hand-field
lot
generator
more.
is really. I'm picturing maybe war times, flashlight.
Oh, yeah.
I imagine the hand crank flashlights that you use, and you're cranking them, and they make that noise.
That's what I'm picturing, but I don't know if that's what he's talking about. Yeah. Outside on the porch, Bandit began wailing. Partridge picked up a flashlight and went outside to investigate. The dog was sitting on the end of the porch, howling down towards the hay barn in the bottom, Partridge continued. I shined the light in that direction, and it picked up 2 red circles, or eyes, which looked like bicycle reflectors. Still, there was something about those eyes that is difficult to explain. When I was a kid, I night hunted all the time, and I certainly know what animal eyes look like, such as coon, dog, cat eyes in the dark. These were much larger, for one thing. It's a good length of a football field to that hay barn, probably about 150 yards. Still, those eyes showed up huge for that distance. As soon as the flashlight picked out the eyes, Bandit snarled and ran towards them. A cold chill swept over the man, and he felt a wave of fear which kept him from following the dog. That night he slept with a loaded gun beside his bed. The next day he went out looking for the dog. I walked out to the barn looking for tracks. Here and there I could see Bandit's paw prints. They were rather easy to see, for he was a heavy dog and the area was muddy. At the approximate position of the eyes he found a large number of dog tracks. Those tracks were going in a circle, as if the dog had been chasing his tail, Partridge explained, though he never did that. And that was that. I couldn't see them go off anywhere, though I did see a series of fresh tracks which apparently led from the porch to the spot where he ran in circles. There were no other tracks of any kind. Bandit simply vanished into thin air.
So Mothman just took up that German Shepherd and flew him somewhere else.
Yeah, just picked him up.
Yeah.
That escalated so quickly.
Yeah. So,
I just love the part. My bad, I didn't mean to interrupt
You're
you.
good.
I just love the part where he's like, I've seen other eyes, but I did not recognize these eyes, so I slept with a loaded gun beside me.
right.
I mean,
His eyes were haunting.
if you're that
It's understandable,
scared
yeah.
and you get that kind of fear in you, you're gonna try to be as safe as possible.
Yeah.
Right. That's one
But,
thing that... Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if that was my dog, I would have gone after it. But
Yeah, same.
that's just me.
Right.
If it was one of my cats, I would have been out there at a heartbeat. Fight off those eyes, no matter what they are.
Yeah. Well, that's I don't know. I think that's where I was going earlier about talking about the Chibi Mothman. Because, I love that shit. I love the idea of Mothman. But, also, everyone that, actually was reported to see it, they walk away, shitting their pants. Everyone is, traumatized and, I don't know, even if, the men in black don't come to your house after you see them, people are just, freaking out and, scared to go in, the dark again, or, hallucinating eyes, in the darkness, it's whatever happens to these people, is very scary.
Yeah, I feel like he definitely has a presence to him, at least. Something I wouldn't, I'd say an aura, just a dark aura that maybe is affecting these people long after. It's a lingering effect.
There was this spot in the book where John Keel was talking about, he described it as an area, a zone of fear. It had invisible walls that you could walk through. He had to walk past, he had to walk through it. He parked his car. Okay. Well, he was driving his car through the woods around Point Pleasant, just looking for something in the middle of the night. And he got freaked out at this one spot and sped off through it, and the feeling went away. And then he's still just driving around looking for stuff, and he notices that same spot every time, like freaks him out. So he like kind of stops there to like check it out. And it was hard to picture like the scenario of like where the zone is. I don't know how he was like, it was between him and his car, so I'm picturing him like off in the woods or something. But I don't know, just like an area that you could walk into and feel paralyzing fear, like the feeling that something is wrong, something's like watching you, something's about to break, like just paralyzed with fear. And then step like a foot to the side and be, oh, okay. Whew. He said he thought it was like ultrasonic waves or something, which is like, okay, but I don't know. It seems like...
That's kind of what I pictured when you said that. Like a geomagnetic or like electromagnetic, some sort of like force. That's kind of what I pictured.
And I mean, I don't want to like discredit that he didn't feel anything, but...
No, go ahead. He might
there
not have.
could be more explanations. There could be something going on in that area of the forest, like underneath the soil, that's causing like different minerals and just like different stuff. So I wouldn't necessarily like chalk that up to Mothman. And also knowing like the area of the sightings of Mothman that have taken place, it was like bunkers, TNT, like they had explosives. I'm pretty sure they had chemicals out there. Like, just thinking about the stuff that was kept out there, there might be another explanation for like the lingering effects that people have after they have the sightings, or that could be the reason that they're having the sightings.
Yeah.
And also,
who knows what they were using back in the day that was like legal that probably was not good for you.
Yeah, and also we know a medium, and that feeling is real. I'm talking about my mother. My mom we think my mom is a medium because she has exactly what you were talking about when she walks into places that are supposedly like haunted or whatever. She has that same feeling. She immediately feels like something is terribly wrong, like I should not be here. And then she'll start taking pictures, and we'll look at those pictures, and there's orbs, figures, all kinds of stuff. So like I mean, just from that alone, I kind of like, I mean, I believe it. It may have been something like that.
I mean, he could have, but it also, like, he did say that he dramatized some of the stuff in the story, and, like, I don't want to, like, discredit and say maybe he didn't feel something, but there were there's other things that could be explanations to, like, a scientific explanation.
Oh yeah, I know.
See, this is where my brain like fights. Like, I'm all about the supernatural, like all here for it. Like, I believe in it, but then there's like my scientific half of the brain that is like, oh, there's a scientific explanation.
Your
like,
degree that you got?
Yeah, my degree, like my scientific brain's just like, oh, there's gotta be something. Like, I gotta investigate.
That is kind of the challenge of finding the truth between all of the specific studies to find the more general truths on life.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do know, like, the 4 people, we haven't gotten to their story, but I'm pretty sure their stories, like, didn't change between the 4 of them. Like, they kept, like, a similar story at least, which... That's hard to do if you're just like playing a joke.
Yeah, I don't have any reason to like disbelieve them. He was with them a lot and like talked about them a lot in the book, and went back to the TNT area with those 4 people that we'll get to.
Yeah.
I have a description here. You were talking about like the explosives and stuff underground. In relation to the zone of fear above ground. And I just want to read some of this because it paints a kind of Stranger Things vibe kind of scenario.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's right up Deon's alley.
It's like kind of like the 80s, like UFO, like Men in Black kind of like government, like is hiding the truth, like all that stuff. I'll just read it. High explosives were manufactured in Point Pleasant during World War II. 7 miles outside of town, part of the 1,500-acre McClinton Wildlife Station, an animal preserve and bird sanctuary, was ripped up. Miles of underground tunnels were dug, linking camouflaged buildings and factories. 100 igloos were scattered across the fields and woods, huge concrete domes with heavy steel doors where the finished explosives could be stored safely. Dirt and grass covered the domes, so from the air the whole area had a harmless pastoral appearance. A few scattered buildings linked by unimproved dirt roads with no suggestion of all the activity going on below ground. It looked a lot like nothing more than what it was supposed to be, a haven for birds and animals in the Ohio River Valley.
Yeah, they definitely could have been doing stuff.
Yeah, I'm
there.
picturing like literally like Hawkins Labs, like with like a mind ray underground in the middle of the woods where like nobody's gonna look. Like
yeah.
MK Super Ultra.
It was done out there.
And
I mean, just some of the stuff that happened during World War II, like I wouldn't be surprised if some stuff was happening down under in those tunnels.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to even think about like what happens that like nobody knows or like nobody says.
Yeah.
But the tunnels. The tunnels is what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I didn't know they had tunnels.
Are you have you heard of like, I don't know, I've heard them called DUMBs, like deep underground military bases, like really like I don't know like how much you want to put into it, but there's like spaces underneath like Air Force bases throughout the country and maybe even world that are connected by like tunnels, so that like anything real secret can be like kept out of sight.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Fun fact, my dad works for the Air Force. He works at Wright Pat. So I hear all the time about how Wright Pat is keeping an alien underneath it. So yeah, I hear about that all the time.
You might have to double check and make sure he doesn't have to edit that out.
That's just a conspiracy theory that there's an alien under Wright Pat. I mean, you'll ask any like UFO enthusiast and they'll tell you.
That's just the word around town.
Yeah, they'll tell you, oh, there's an alien underneath Wright Pat. I have no idea.
That's like...
No, it's true. Oh, fun. My bad. I'm sorry. I keep cutting you off. I just wanted to tell a super short story. One time when I worked at the Kroger, it was like literally like right down the road, like 2 minutes away from the Air Force base in Fairborn, Ohio. Mm-hmm. I worked there, and we had a blackout one time. It was like at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, like just a random blackout, wasn't storming or anything, and every single person that was in the store when it happened blamed it on the aliens at Wright Pat. Every single person, they kept going, it's those damn aliens. I bet you it's something at Wright Pat. They're doing something to those aliens.
I mean, me and my family always...
Yeah, exactly.
We always go up to my dad and we're like, so how's the alien doing? We always just joke that there's an alien underneath.
Do you
Wright
guys
Pat,
know?
so
I can't remember her name, but have you seen that? Like, either of you seen Doctor Who?
No, but I know like about it.
Well, I was going to mention there's this. It's like the last human alive or something, and she looks like a piece of like flesh, like stretched across like this canvas, and she's like, it's just like a face on a piece of skin, and she's like, spray me, moisturize me, and like. They're taking care, like, they've already watched Earth be destroyed, I'm pretty sure, and they're, like, taking care of the last human alive, like, a long time later.
And
that's wild.
Yeah.
That's, like, the alien under Wright Pat.
I'm picturing them taking care of, like...
Just saying.
Like, a slab of meat down under...
That's... See, after World War II, Mothman got freed. They were keeping Mothman down in those tunnels, taking care of him, and then, bam, it's over. He's out, free of the tunnels. Just kidding. The tunnels underneath are his burrows.
Yeah.
In the story, he's like kind of supposed to live in like the people say like the boilers like in like the factory building that's still there, and the tunnels were sealed with like concrete slabs, so if you couldn't really like get into them or explore any of that. and that was like when like all the explosives were like carted out after the war, and they kind of just tore down like what they could and like left what didn't matter, like shut down everything. But another thing the book mentioned was the like camouflage domes in the woods that like were so like unassuming that it was like nothing, that like after they were done kind of and like not taking care of it, like after the paint wore off and it's just these like stark light gray like domes throughout the woods, I can just picture it looking so alien, like these spheres coming out of the ground, which is like the opposite of camouflage.
Did we go to those?
Yeah, we actually went to one.
Yeah, Sidney went inside one.
Yeah, there's like, it's very creepy because they're very dark on the inside, even during the day. Like, no light gets in there, so it's like a flashlight.
Yeah, I didn't go in because I'm afraid of the dark still.
But, I mean, it was kind of just like an ominous, like, kind of vibe, even walking up to it, if you can
Oh my gosh.
see that.
Yeah. That's so cool. I'm so jealous
like,
of that.
that was like the inside of a...
That is dark.
So, yeah, it like... Yeah.
They're super graffitied
And, like,
up, too.
that was the... It even had, like, branches hanging over it, like, making a doorway, so it, like, gave it this extra creepy vibe, just, like, walking up to it.
That's why I did not go in.
Right, I can picture it. I want to go. It's only a few hours away. I
Oh,
just
yeah,
gotta like save a
here it
weekend for
is.
it.
Yeah. That was, like, the branches, like, doorway going
Ugh.
up to
That
it.
looks cool.
I do not like it.
Yeah. It was cool, but definitely I can see, like, just the vibe, like, especially if you go there at night, definitely your imagination running wild, because seeing those domes, you'd be like, oh my gosh, like, something's living in there at night.
Well, now that we're talking about it, too, that's exactly why, like, well, one, I'm afraid of the dark, but two, I had that, like, when we walked up to it and I looked in, I was like, this feels off. I'm not going in there.
I can picture it, and
It
that's
did.
everyone describes it. In the book, he was talking about like, I think it was somewhere around the factory, but there was like this loud like metal noise like that everyone else heard, and like he didn't hear, and he was inside the building looking for the Mothman, and just like a few weird things, and he was like, I knew from this that UFO activity had to be active here, like even though like no one talks about it. And then he dug up some like reports, and like there actually was like, I don't know, that's kind of thing throughout this too, was like a bunch of like UFO stuff like in this area at this around the same
I've
time as
also,
Mothman.
like, wasn't, like, after Mothman's sighting, there was an increased number of, like, UFO sightings in the area?
Yes, yeah. He talked
Yeah.
about showing up and being like, he was asking around for UFO encounters, and everyone was like, no, we just have like the huge bird, like, and that's enough. We don't want aliens, like. But throughout this, like, he I don't. That's kind of a pain though. Like, that's kind of what I'm saying about this book, because like a lot of this stuff, like, they didn't file a police report. They didn't report it to anybody. Like, this is an author like talking to people, like perhaps like putting his own like spin on the story, and like there's nowhere to like find out like what. I don't know. It's just kind of frustrating.
What they actually said and, like, what he wrote, or what they actually saw and what he wrote.
Right. And yeah, he has another book too that kind of like connects like the Mothman and like some it's like an overarching theory of like cryptids, and like he touches on it in this book too, obviously, but he talks about like them being almost like an angel or like a manifestation from like another like dimension like poking in, and like that's why there's like so much weird stuff like going on around it. Like, I don't know, like I'm sure we'll cover all kinds of stuff about this, but that weird kind of like and like the TV and the there was a cop that was there with the author and the four people, and like his radio started making that kind of warbled noise you were describing earlier, and
Yeah.
I don't. It's like a electrical interference kind of thing. Like It could be all kinds of things, but like it's just like there's this weird kind of vibe that follows like areas of like weird events around.
Which, speaking of that, I know all of the interference, like the electrical interference and stuff, plays into the part of like one of the theories that Mothman is like an alien. Like all the UFO sightings and like the interference, they all like say, oh, is because Mothman's an alien. And then that's also why they think the Men in Black keep coming to people's houses that have seen Mothman.
Right. I'm gonna read through this the Scarberry and Mallette sighting real quick, because those are the two main. This event itself is pretty much what started it all. Like a newspaper published this article, and that attracted a bunch of attention. People going there to find out like what's going on, and like the story of the Mothman kind of came around. This is from November 16th, 1966. Couples see man-sized bird, creature, something. It was a bird, or something. It definitely wasn't a flying saucer. 2 Point Pleasant couples said today they encountered a man-sized, bird-like creature in the TNT area around midnight last night. Sheriff's deputies and city police went to the scene about 2 o'clock this morning, but were unable to spot anything. The two young men telling their story this morning were dead serious and asserted they hadn't been drinking. Steve Mallette and Roger Scarberry described the thing as being about 6 or 7 feet tall, having a wingspan of 10 feet and red eyes about 2 inches in diameter and 6 inches apart. It was like a man with wings, Mallette said. It wasn't like anything you'd see on TV or in a monster movie. The men and their wives were in Scarberry's car between 11:30 p.m. and midnight when they spotted the creature near the old power plant adjacent to the National Guard Armory buildings. The creature was seen standing on 3 occasions and was described as being extremely fast. It flew about 100 miles an hour. So it was extremely fast in flight, but it was a clumsy runner. Deputy Millard Halstead said that he seen dust in the vicinity of a coal field, but it could have been caused by the bird. He said, I like that report that they put in the newspaper. And he saw some dust in the vicinity of a field. It could have been the
Mothman. I also liked how they described the Mothman as a clumsy runner.
Yeah, picture him like waddling around.
Yeah. Like,
trips
that doesn't make him seem scary at all. He comes after you and he just like face plants, and then he just gets up and starts flying towards you, and that's when the real fear strikes.
Yeah. That's when listeners and you guys, whatever theory you have in your head, like the reports of it like flying are so weird because it like they'll say like it doesn't move its wings, like it's just like T-posing across the sky, and I can't picture that hardly. They're like, no one really mentions arms, so does it just have like little dangling legs and huge wings? And if so, that's kind of a bird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also I can't get out of like the Mothman meme mindset. Like I just see Mothman as a meme. That's what he's tied to for me.
Right.
True.
We fell in love with the character in the story.
Yeah. Feel bad for these like people that have seen him, and it's like pure terror, and then there's just like a whole community of us just making Mothman memes. Like they're probably like, this is not what I expected.
Can't sleep at night.
Yeah, like they're staying up all night seeing these red eyes, and like their dreams having like seeing them wherever they go, and we're just like, look at the cake on Mothman. That
is the image that shows up in their feed when they're laying in bed. Look at that cake on Mothman, and they just start crying.
Yeah.
And they just turn their phone off and put it down.
I mean, I would.
I'm a hard guy to scare, Scarberry said, but last night I was for getting out of there. They did just that, but the thing followed them. They said it was hovering over the car, apparently gliding, until they reached the National Guard Armory on Route 62. We went downtown, turned around, and went back, and there it was again, Mallette said. It seemed to be waiting on us. He said the light gray creature then scurried through a field. It also had flown across the top of the car. It apparently is afraid of light, Mallette reasoned, and maybe it thought it was scaring us off. And I just got to comment that the name, again, Mothman, and then this guy, the main story, he's saying it apparently is afraid of light.
Doesn't add up.
Yeah.
It would be attracted to
Yeah.
it.
Interesting.
Maybe it's just showing that it has like higher intelligence, like it doesn't want to be found out. So it doesn't want to be seen.
Right.
He's weaning off light right now.
Yeah.
He's off light.
He had too much of addiction.
The young men said they saw the creature's eyes, which glowed red, only when their lights shined on it, and it seemed to want to get away from the lights. They said it looked like a man with wings, but that its head was not an outstanding characteristic. If I were Mothman, I would feel insulted by that. Moving on.
Yeah.
Both were slightly pale and tired from a lack of sleep during the night following their heroin experience. They speculated that the thing was living in the vacant power plant, possibly in one of the huge boilers. There are pigeons in all the other buildings, Mallette said, but not in that one. If I had seen it while by myself, I wouldn't have said anything, Scarberry commented. But there were 4 of us who saw it. They said it didn't resemble a bat in any way, but maybe what you could visualize as an angel. I like that. The next time they saw it was at the gate of the C.C. Lewis farm on Route 62. They heard a sound like flapping wings, and they said a bird rose straight up like a helicopter. This doesn't have an explanation to it, Mallette said. It was an animal, but nothing like I've ever seen before. Are they going back to look for the creature? Yes, Mallette said. This afternoon and again tonight. Today, Scarberry said, but tonight, I don't know. He was a little scaredy pants, but it's okay, Scarberry.
Yeah. He didn't want to go out at night.
I don't blame him, but Mallette,
No, but I
Mallette
feel
had
like
no
if
problem
you
doing
were...
it. Just saying.
Yeah. If you were
Scarberry.
searching for it, like, and you saw it at night, wouldn't you want to go back at night to see if you could find it again?
like Craigslist, like missed connections. Go back out and like pick up where you left off, and patch things over. Introduce yourself to the Mothman.
Speaking of eyes, you can see Albus's... Move your head. Do you see Albus's eyes right there? It's so scary. It scared me in the background.
That like reflective eye thing that like animals do.
Yeah,
like I
do you
think
see
that's
it?
kind of
Oh, he is Mothman.
everyone like talks about like just the eyes, and like they don't even really see a face. Like everyone just cares about like the red eyes. And I'm kind of I think it's an owl because they got big, huge, circular eyes on the front of their face, and like I'll show you guys pictures of like I don't know if you look through the document, but they're at the bottom of like owls with like red eyes and like a little Mothman shaped body, and like I can picture like I don't. That's the one thing though is that every single report is like, oh yeah, it was like 7 feet tall, it was massive, and then like how do you put that into like otherwise sounding like. Oh, maybe they just were scared and so, like an owl was around them and like staring at them weird.
Yeah.
But then like everybody's saying like how huge it was. Like that's like a kind of like a pretty accepted characteristic of the Mothman. But I don't know. It's just hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, the owl thing makes a lot of sense because they do have like huge circular eyes, and a lot of them have red eyes, at least at night, I think. And I think they were saying that it was a horned owl that it could be, which are pretty big owls.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're as big as like they're saying like Mothman was. But also if you're seeing like that wingspan at a distance, it might look bigger to you than when you see it up close.
Right. I'm kind of picturing these stories in like a weird little like woodsy environment, but like creepy vibes, but like woodsy, like I don't know, and just not really having like a frame of reference for like trees around it or something. Like maybe you're looking at it down like the road, like when they like went and came back and saw it. Like maybe it's just they're far away and can't really get a accurate gauge, but it seems like also I don't know, like it seems like maybe they could have Why would everyone go up? Why would everyone round up to like 7 feet if it's like just like a big owl, which I can't picture being more than like 2 or 3 feet normally.
Yeah, I do say like there's some credit to like all 4 people seeing this and like describing it the same way. Like it's a hard thing to do. Like I was saying, if you're playing a prank, like getting everyone on the same story of what happened and like making sure you tell it all the same.
Mm-hmm.
So like it definitely, I feel like, credits that they saw something that night.
Yeah.
Not sure what, but
I don't know
something.
Right. I don't know what was going on. I don't know. That's why it's so strange, because you have like after like there's like a drama made out of it, and like people are coming by like just to see like the area and try to like see something. It's hard to take like many of those seriously. Like after it's like in the zeitgeist of like pop culture or whatever. That's why I kind of stuck with like a few of these like main things that started it off.
Yeah, because nowadays, if someone said they spotted it, it could just be like, and they described it, it's like, oh, they already know what Mothman looks like. They might have not seen him.
Right. What would be most
Cryptids are almost like old school Twitter,
Yeah.
like Twitter before Twitter.
What would be most exciting was if everyone started seeing like some new cryptid, like that no one had to like. There's not like an idea for, but like everyone starts seeing like some new figure, and it's like, where did they come from?
Yeah.
All right. We already kind of talked about how like there was a lot of UFO activity in the area around the same time. I picked the Indrid Cold incident here because I think that's kind of the most. I don't know. It's kind of its own like idea. Like it's kind of Indrid Cold is like his own like folklore like entity. Like I don't know. Along with the Mothman, like this guy Woodrow Derenberger, like his life ended up pretty ruined, honestly. Like because of this event, but he always stuck to it. I'll just read this report here. This is transcribed from WTAP television in Ohio from November 3rd, 1966. I'm a salesman and I drive a truck. And last night, shortly just after 7, I was coming from Marietta, Ohio, coming down Interstate 77, and just before I came to the intersection of Route 47, there was a car past me. Overtaking me from behind, and followed closely behind this car, was this unidentified flying object. There was a car behind and past me. This object was following close behind it and swerved directly in front of my truck, turning crosswise. When it turned crosswise, it slowed down. It started slowing not abruptly or too fast, but gave me plenty of time to step on my brakes and slow down with it. But it forced me to come to a complete stop. As soon as I had stopped, there was a door open in the side of this vehicle, and this man stepped out and came directly to me. He walked to the right-hand side of the truck, and he told me to roll down the window. He asked me to roll down the window on the right-hand side of my truck, and I done what he asked. And this man stood there, and he first asked me what I was called, and I knew he meant my name, and I told him my name. And then he asked me, he said, "Why are you frightened?" He said, "Don't be frightened. We wish you no harm." He said, "We mean you no harm. We wish you only happiness." And I told him my name, and when I told him my name, he said he was called Cold. That was the name he was called by. And this guy, he describes it as like a lantern shaped, like you guys can picture kind of like a kerosene, like oil lantern. Like kind of the glass piece, like sideways. So it's like a bulge, and like it's kind of like a double-ended bong. That's kind of the shape that the ship is described by. And he steps out of it and talks to Woodrow for a while on the side of the road. And he said the ship rose up like 50 feet, or maybe it was 50 meters. It goes up in the sky, like above the interstate. And other people like drive by and report like seeing this guy talking to someone on the side of the road. And like some people, I heard that like some people didn't see the saucer, and I think some people did. But he said that Indrid Cold continues to visit him. Not now, the guy's dead now, but it was like a thing going on in his life that like he would go meet Indrid Cold, and he was gone for like 6 months at one point. Said he was with Indrid Cold. He wrote a book called like Visitors from Lanulos, talking about when Indrid Cold took him to his home planet, Lanulos. I couldn't find anything like backing this part up, but John Keel said that he had like a piece of like Injured Cold was described as wearing like this like green metal suit, and I'm kind of I don't know, I'm picturing like Iron Man like nanotech armor or something. Like they all say metal, so I'm picturing like a bunch of little metal pieces or something.
Yeah.
Instead of just like a sheen, but like a metal jacket that's like green. And John Keel says that Woody Derenberger brought back a piece of that material, but I couldn't find anything else about that. I couldn't find anyone else saying anything about that at all. But it'd be interesting if it was what happened.
That's a wild story. I mean, I feel like I've heard of this. It kind of reminds me of I just recently watched through JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and in part 4, an alien just pops up for like no reason and just like hangs out with the main character and like talks to him. And it's like, that's just what it reminded me of. Like, this alien just came and was like, hey, you look cool. I'm going to be your friend.
Yeah, I don't know what was so special about Woody Derenberger. I don't know why he got to
Yeah.
go to Lanulos and not me.
Yeah, I mean, I want an alien just to like come down and be my friend. That sounds like a cool time. I get a piece of a metal green suit.
That's all I
Like,
need.
what was he, the Green Goblin?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
The
Yeah.
Green Goblin.
If I just had these two things in life, I'd be happy. An alien and
Yeah.
a green spacesuit. That's all I need. Nothing else.
Exactly.
There was also, I didn't have much about this, but there's also reports of like kids in New Jersey seeing like a weird smiling man in a metal green suit in October 1966. And he kind of just fits in with like the Men in Black vibe too, kind of. Like, I don't know.
Mhm.
It's easy to picture like it depends what, like if you're even going to take this story seriously, but there are a few more weird things like I think it's NICAP. It's like a UFO like study thing, or was, I don't remember the acronym, but they were like telling Woody, like he said he was getting calls from them telling him not to talk about anything, and when they were like, they'd write like newsletters like saying Woody was like a fraud and a hoax, and then they were spelling cold, Injured Cold. Woody was saying COLD, and they spelled cold KULD. And I don't know what that means, but that's kind of supposed to like make you think that they already knew about Injured Cold, and they knew more about him, and Woody was just a country guy that got like the name wrong when he said his name was Cold. But whatever. I don't know. Like he's just kind of associated like with the Mothman story. Like people, I don't know. You could say he was like a bounty hunter here trying to catch Mothman. You could say he's like a handler here putting Mothman on the earth. You could say he is the Mothman. He opens up his metal green suit into wings and flies straight up. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, it could be just that Mothman was an alien and he attracted other alien-like activity.
I'm an alien. I want an alien to come visit me.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Get over here. The Silver Bridge collapse is also like very heavily tied into like the Mothman story, and that's because of the Mothman Prophecies by John A. Keel. So, I watched like this whole like demonstration of like what exactly like went wrong on the bridge and like how it fell apart, and I kind of like the bridge collapsing itself is not like mysterious. Like when you hear about like it was inspected, but they sent a guy out who had like a regular job, and they gave him a pair of binoculars and said like inspect the bridge. So it was like looks okay.
Looks
like,
great.
Yeah, so it wasn't safe. And also cars like were getting heavier at the time than the time the bridge was built. They were getting bigger, and also it's like there's a lot of like farm machinery going through. I'll just read this. On December 15th, 1967, just hours before dark and in the cold of December, the Silver Bridge connecting Point Pleasant to Gallipolis, Ohio, collapsed entirely. It was packed with rush hour traffic and presumably families returning to their homes with their Christmas gifts and assorted holiday purchases. In under a minute, the bridge was gone. The harsh conditions in a winter evening, the coldest of the year, the limited amount of daylight for rescue efforts, as well as a vital connection point to the hospital now being destroyed, made this a catastrophic loss of lives. 46 people died, 9 were injured, and 2 were never found. Inspection of the pieces removed from the river showed that a single sheared eye-bar in the steel chain suspension system that works like a bike chain, disconnecting, that support dropped entirely, and the whole bridge dropped in pieces. This is a little snippet that I wrote down from a video on YouTube called The Silver Bridge Disaster. At the point of failure, a brittle crack grew almost instantly down to the outer edge. This overloaded the upper side, which then separated. The resulting asymmetric load on the pin caused it to twist, and the single eye-bar that was left vibrated off the other side of the pin, at which point the chain was completely severed. The adjacent tower, being destabilized, started toppling and fell to the north. The road below twisted over, and the other tower was pulled down into the river as well. It's just crazy, picturing this. They were very proud of the design. This town loved, the bridge. They liked the silver color. Every time that they repainted it, they kept the silver color. It was one of the first bridges like that. They were happy about it, and just trying to imagine the sound of that metal shearing and all of that weight falling into the river, twisting bars of metal and cars and asphalt and everything just crushing and breaking. I can't imagine what it sounded like. I watched a video about a lady who was there. She was on the bridge when she heard something and thought the bridge got hit by a boat going under it or something. So she backed up and her car stalled, but she got it back enough, and its wheels stopped right over a break section. This part's over land, and then there's the next part of the bridge goes out over the water, and she got back on the part that didn't ever fall into the water, but everything in front of her, the car in front of her, fell into the river right in front of her, and she just backed up and got off the bridge right in time. And that's insane. She says the sound was the scariest thing, and I just can't imagine the sound.
That's like something out of a movie.
Yeah.
She just backs up and then all of a sudden the bridge
she was meant to make it. She had an idol of protection.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, for real.
Just... Yeah, hearing that sound would probably be the scariest, most gut-wrenching thing to hear on a bridge, especially because you're trusting that thing with your life that you're gonna make it over the river. And to hear that would just be oh shit.
I think at the museum, I think they had pieces of the bridge in there. Also, they had a whole entire, I don't know what the actual name of it is, I'll just say manifesto. It's a big, huge, ginormous paper, 4 or 5 feet long and 3 or 4 feet high, and it had every single make, model, license plate number, how many people were in the car of every single car that fell into the river. Yeah. And you can still see the I don't remember if we saw it.
We did it.
But I saw it one of the first times I went there. My dad pointed it out, but you can still see the concrete blocks in the river where the Silver Bridge was. I mean, there's nothing connected to it, obviously, right. But you can still see the blocks where they put it into the river.
That's crazy.
But that story baffles me every time I hear it.
Yeah.
It's
just
crazy.
It's crazy, but then it's also they didn't see this coming if they just had a man inspect it with binoculars and not really go up there and check all of the suspension, because looking at it from an engineering standpoint, there's very important structural parts to a bridge to make it last, and the suspension is part of that's keeping up the bridge.
The best thing to come from this was that the Silver Bridge's collapse did lead to bridge inspection and safety reform across the country, which is like
Oh, nice.
why we're safe for the most part today.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that. That's cool.
That is something good to come out of this, because we don't want another tragedy like that to happen.
You know the Jeremiah Bridge, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do not.
For real?
Mm-mm.
I think it's fixed now because they just added a few more sections to it. But that bridge, I heard from people that walked under it and were like picking up like bolts and stuff that like fallen from the bridge. Like it was in that bad a shape there on the ground by the water down below.
Oh, yeah. My
Yeah.
dad has told me stories about that.
That's scary.
Yeah, my dad told me when he was a kid he used to like play under the Jeremiah Bridge and like him and his friends would like go under there and they had that same thing happen to them. And they said they could hear the vibrations and like shit of all of the metal and yeah, he said it was like real creepy.
That's spooky.
That's great.
Yeah. Isn't that like the longest bridge in Ohio or something?
It might be.
Like just in length, not height or anything?
I have no idea.
It holds
could
some
be.
sort of record or something, I don't know.
Oh.
After the bridge disaster, the strange happenings seemingly stopped immediately. Maybe this was what it was all leading up to, like a weird cosmic warning. Maybe the psyche of the town was on high alert, somehow perceiving the threat of danger. Maybe the bridge took the Mothman down with it. Maybe the town was in mourning and wasn't in the mood for pondering what other monsters reality might bring us. This is a quote from John Keel here. This planet is haunted by us. The other occupants just evade boredom by filling our skies and seas with monsters. After like the whole kind of Mothman story, that all happened in 1966 with the bridge collapse in 1967. Here's 1975, the Mothman Prophecies book by John Keel comes out, which kind of breaks the story, gets people talking about the Mothman. It kind of stews in pop culture for a while. In 2002, the Mothman Prophecies book is made into the Mothman Prophecies movie, loosely based on the book. Also in 2002, Point Pleasant's first annual Mothman Festival. They say it had attracted 10 to 12,000 people a year, which seems like pretty crazy numbers for a festival.
Yeah.
Especially how small that town is.
Right.
I'm not that surprised because my hometown that I'm from has a sauerkraut festival and it's small, like Point Pleasant, and it brings in like thousands of people just that weekend into the town for that festival alone. So I can definitely see people that are Mothman enthusiasts like traveling to come to this.
No, yeah, I completely agree, actually.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I would totally believe that now. When I read it, it was beside the fact about the 2002 first annual Mothman Festival. So I'm not sure if they're talking about 10,000 people there or like now. I don't know. I guess people already would have been interested in it. It just whatever.
Yeah.
In 2003, a 12-foot statue of the Mothman was unveiled in Point Pleasant, created by artist and sculptor Bob Roach. And you guys know, but everyone loves its ass.
Yeah. we
Shout
can
out to
thank
Bob Roach,
Bob
baby.
Roach for that cake.
Bob Roach knows an ass.
Yeah.
If you want the pictures, we can send you the pictures of us with Mothman.
Do it.
Hey, let me see if I can find a...
You can post them on the gram that you have for the pod. Which, by the way, logo looks fantastic. You did an amazing job on that, by the way.
And then the last thing I have on there is 2005, the Mothman Museum and Research Center opens, which is what you guys were talking about.
I have Mothman's ass right here.
Yes. Beautiful.
We love Mothman.
Yes.
The funny little tidbit about the museum. So, I went there when I was like super young. I went there again when I was a little bit older. I went there like a couple years ago, and then we went together. Was it last year, right?
No, I think it was in 2020.
Oh, okay, yeah. And I saw the same guy working there every single time I went. I think it's just one guy that like runs it. He's super nice.
And I mean, it's a really cool museum.
Yeah.
And then they have like cool Mothman souvenirs, because who wouldn't want like a Mothman shirt or a Mothman mug?
Right. I really want to go. That sounds so fun.
They like they have like Mothman stuff, but there was also randomly like like Fallout merchandise, like random video game merchandise related to like, I guess like it has to be related to like the TNT like factory, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. There was like weird random stuff in the store too, along with the Mothman stuff, but it's really cool.
I wonder if like I haven't played Fallout since I played Fallout 4 on my PlayStation, but I haven't done that in forever, in like years. Did you guys play 76? Because it has Mothman and a whole bunch of like West Virginia cryptids in it.
For
Does
real?
it?
Yeah.
No, I did not know that. I just knew that Bethesda fumbled the ball of Fallout 76 real bad.
That's what I heard too. Yeah, but I don't know. I've never played
I've
it.
heard it's pretty playable now.
Now that I know Mothman's in it, that might change my tune.
Right.
I'm gonna play it now.
5-star. I haven't even played this, but I love this game.
But then I'm like curious if they have like one of those Mothman like hunting video games, kind of like how they have the Bigfoot or the Goatman hunting like video game.
Oh yeah.
Or like Slender Man, but he just comes down and grabs you out of the sky, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
You're looking around for
You're the
cans of
German
beans.
Shepherd. You play as the German Shepherd, and then the Mothman just comes down and swoops you up.
I told you I was going to mention it later, but I forgot to. The guy's dog, his TV was acting like a generator. He lost his dog bandit, $350 German Shepherd. The Scarberry, okay, at least in the Mothman Prophecies by John Keel, in this truth, this world, the people, the Scarberries or Mallets, I don't remember who it was exactly, but when they left after seeing the Mothman, they saw like the body of a dog on the side of the road, and then when they came back to see the Mothman again, the dog wasn't there, and the only place that's mentioned is in the Mothman Prophecies by John Keel. But I always wondered why everyone always like talks about the dog so much. Like, maybe it's the same dog and it like picked it up and carried it across like whatever.
Maybe they became best friends, and now it's just the like adventures of Bandit and Mothman. And Mothman just carries him everywhere through the sky.
Mothman helped him out and just brought him into the spiritual plane in which he resides, so they can be together longer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, like this whole like John Keel like writing the Mothman prophecy, it kind of gives me like an H.P. Lovecraft like vibe. Like he made this whole like lore around the Mothman and like created this whole thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I respect Lovecraft a lot more than Keel, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
I mean, it just, yeah, I mean, he did a lot more writing-wise. He was a piece of shit person, but his writing is interesting, the whole Lovecraft lore. But it just kind of gave me that vibe, like he was creating this Mothman lore.
He has I mentioned it earlier, how he talks about them as being like maybe like manifestations from like somewhere else, like something else coming into like our reality, like kind of like Mothman, like Men in Black, like a whole bunch of stuff being explained by like this one thing. And he has a second book about that called The Eighth Tower, I believe. And I haven't read that, but I think that's kind of the theory that he has in his head. But we've already kind of covered how people kind of take it as like a harbinger of doom, like a warning of something bad to come. And I noted that there's like similar characters from like mythology all around the world. Like in Hindu, there's the Garuda, which is a winged creature that would precede or portend disaster. And between like some different tribes and stuff, there's just lots of like it's in our mind somewhere, like the black winged warning.
Yeah, I also think of like Harry Potter, how like the black dog was the omen.
I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I haven't seen or like read anything.
I love Harry Potter, but like he saw a black dog and it was like a bad omen, and then they were doing like tea leaf reading, and they saw like the Grim, which was a dog, which was just bringing bad omen, kind of just like how Mothman, which I don't know if you said this, but I'm pretty sure they like got a photograph of him sitting on top of the bridge before it collapsed, or like there's something like that.
I've seen like what I assume is the picture you're talking about. I think that's kind of just like an artistic like thing, like placing it near the bridge, but I'm not sure. I know what you're talking about, yeah.
People sighted him on the bridge before it collapsed.
There's also like, there is a picture that like, I don't know what it is, but there's like a picture that somebody supposedly took like a few years ago of the Mothman too. You can Google and find, but it's like looks like
really?
a dude like gliding across the sky and like gray rubber. So I don't know. I didn't take it too seriously, but I'll mention it.
Now I'm gonna look up this picture.
Some people think that the Mothman could be like a demon showing up at sites of suffering to like harvest pain energy. Some people think it could be an undiscovered animal, just like a species that like, I don't know. I think that's a compelling idea to me. I always like all the things that like kind of go with that, of like, oh, there's like a very intelligent race like here with us that's been here for so long, and like they're so good at hiding we never see them. Like, I don't know, that kind of goes with, like, reptilians and, like, a whole bunch of different, like, stuff comes back to stuff like that. But I like that idea.
So speaking on, my major was actually environmental science, so I did a lot of ecology. And just speaking on that, it's, like, studying the animals and the ecosystems. And just scientists, like ecologists, know that they have not discovered every species living on this earth. And so there are species out there that we think are extinct that we find out that they're still alive. So it wouldn't surprise me if there was just a species we haven't discovered yet. I mean, forests aren't that easy to like get around, especially like Ohio, Kentucky. They have a lot of honeysuckle in it now, which makes it terrible to go through.
And I think it would be hard for like a human to sneak up on anything that was like ready not to be caught, like in the woods or whatever.
Yeah. If it was smart enough to like avoid being seen for this long, then yeah, I think it would be hard for us to like find it.
Or maybe it just goes to the right part of the hill and scans its government issued ID and goes back into the tunnels, gets to its like dorm down there, kicks it back, cracks cold one.
Mothman is just sitting under there like cracking a beer, like just laughing about making people's like TV become generators. And the German Shepherd bandits just like sitting right next to him.
I like that image. People also talk about it being a mutant animal, like that's kind of created from like leached chemicals from like all the explosives and materials stored there. That seems kind of fictiony, but I do like that idea too.
That's just like something straight out of like a 50s
like comic book of like
movie.
There's like green
Yeah.
ooze coming out of barrels like seeping into the ground. Yeah. And there's like a big monster like coming out of it like
like the moth just like landed in it, and then all of a sudden it's just like this huge 7-foot moth.
I wonder what that green ooze that everyone always stores in barrels is.
Yeah. What kind of chemical is it?
People also think that the Mothman could be like either like a species of different things, or like, I don't know. I guess if it was an animal, that would be like a species of creatures like that. Some people think it was like Indrid Cold in like a suit, like some kind of like government or like alien like flying suit and a disguise. And I put like, because of the tunnels and like UFO activity, I like the idea of like a Cold War Iron Man suit, like of the government like building all this like crazy secret shit, and they like have like this like you fold down your helmet with like these big red visor like lenses, and like spread your wings and T-pose off into the sky with your like a silent jetpack. And you talk through a
I
microphone.
feel like that's
and
something you'd see in like a G.I. Joe cartoon.
I'm just imagining like the live action Scooby-Doo 2 with like the guy, Dr. Jonathan Jacoby, jumping off the prison, and he has like the wings just going like, "See you later, suckers." Just manually pumping the wings. That's what Cold's doing through the sky.
He's wearing a voice garbler, and anything he says into it comes out like.
It's just making the high pitch like.
I like that.
He's like, "I got him now."
My last theory on here was the owl, which I've already talked about a lot. It has a similar looking body shape to me as the like Mothman shape that's described. Kind of the body is kind of just comes out of the head, so you don't really talk about a face or a neck or any facial features. Head on, its eyes like glow reflected light back, and you don't really see anything else. Silhouette is like big and dark, like imposing in the night sky. I don't know. Owls are brown and gray, obviously. The colors that people were like, oh, a brown man flew by me, and a gray man stood up out of the grass and then flew off.
Yeah.
I think owls come in brown and gray, too.
And also the fact that a lot of the sightings happened at night, or most of them happened at night, right?
Right.
And owls are mostly nocturnal, so that also makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And like the wooded, like wildlife preserve area. Yeah, that's like they don't notice the eyes until it like reflects light back at them like reflectors. So that sounds like, I don't know, like even if you were like just in your backyard or something, you were like shining a light around and it hit an owl, and you just see like this round silhouette like against like the sky, and it's like big glowing red eyes like staring back at you. Like that would be an intimidating feeling. Like if it's like seems bigger from where you are, and like maybe even there were like bigger owls than we know of in the area, but like that would be like an imposing feeling. I feel like I can understand people being scared of something that looked like an owl but was 7 feet tall.
I mean, definitely just like shining a light out and seeing like eyes looking back at you, your mind kind of runs wild at night because the only thing you're seeing is those eyes. So like you just imagine, like your imagination runs wild with what's behind those eyes.
Right. So what's your favorite theory? What do you like to believe? What would you want to believe? What do you think is most realistic?
Personally, I like to think that Mothman is real because, I mean, I'm sure it's like terrifying to see him, but I just think it's funny that there's this like 7-foot tall moth creature that apparently can't run and like can fly super fast. But I think the owl theory makes the most sense because they are just like focusing on these eyes, and it's a wildlife preserve now, so like there's bound to be like owls there. So that makes sense to me. But I want to believe Mothman's real.
In the words of my great uncle, when I told him I was reading a bunch about Mothman and that I thought maybe the people were seeing owls, he said, "It seems most likely, but you never know."
Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't know. Maybe we can end with that.
Yeah, that's fine. That sounds good to me.
Well, that was a lot of fun. Thanks to you guys. I'm excited to do some more of this.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. And if you have the time, please leave us a review on your podcasting app. You can find us on Instagram at Wasting Spacetime or wastingspacetime.com. You can find Deon at Deon Cook Media. And I am on Instagram as This Must Be Magic with a dot in between every word. Again, thank you.